Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Deal with Vehano Joseph. This is a show dedicated to all levels of entrepreneurs looking to scale and improve their lives. So let's dive on in with our next guest. Hello, Beyond the Deal Nation. Welcome back to another episode where we dive deep into the strategies, lessons, and insights that help entrepreneurs, investors, and business leaders scale, acquire, and grow successful ventures. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Julbert Abraham, an entrepreneur, investor, deal maker, and fellow podcast host. Just incredibly humbled to have you on the show, Gilbert. We are, from what I read, you have an incredible resume of company and just an
Thank
incredible
you.
journey. Today I think we're excited to hear your story. So yeah, without any further ado, man, welcome and
Thank you. Thank
tell
you.
the listeners about you.
Hey, thanks again for having me, Vehano. I'm excited to be on your show today. Everyone, Julbert Abraham. I am a Haitian immigrant, came to the United States about 25 years ago. Didn't speak English, didn't have a network. It was living with friends and families and was blessed enough to learn English, go to school, start a couple different businesses, tried and failed through a lot of different things, was able to gain some form of success. And I'm excited to always learn and grow and see how I can be a resource to everyone.
Yeah, and you've had successful exits from selling companies and that
Yeah.
over the years. What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned from selling a company?
Wow. Make sure your docs are in order, right? And a lot of people, and I know it sounds kind of broad, but I want you to think about before you sell a business, you got to make sure that you have all your financials in order. You know exactly what you're selling. You have a vision for the company, and you have a vision of what you want to do after you exit, right?
Mm,
For me, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just was going through the process. But once I exited and I was at home watching Netflix, I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with my life?
yeah, yeah,
It creates some form of like an emptiness because you used to do certain thing and now you're not doing that thing anymore, so you in a
right.
position where you're trying to find yourself again. So it becomes more than just money. It's okay, what are you going to do next with your life? So that's one of the biggest thing I learned in the process, and also the process of actually doing it, because I've never done anything like that before. So when I first went through the interviewing 50 plus buyers, identifying the right one that was interested, and then the LOI process, the due diligence process, and then the closing process. That took
Yeah,
time, right? There was some
yeah,
negotiation in between. So it's a lot of little things that you learn about yourself, about what you want to do. If that's something that you really want to do, that little
yeah,
voice in the back of your head saying, hey, do you really want to do this? And what's your bigger vision for yourself? So
yeah.
having your ducks in order, I think, is super important.
Tell the listeners that goes without saying, guys. If you're building anything, build it to sell. And there's a book, the E-Myth book, that talks
Yeah.
about building it to sell, and sometimes you may not sell it because it's running so effectively, but sometimes you do, and you make that exit and transition.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners what was that first business? What was
I'll take you back because there were a lot of businesses before that one.
yeah,
So after I came to the States, learned English, went to school, started my first company at 18 while I was in college. That was an interesting journey because my friends and I didn't want to be broke college students, so we started a business in college. We had a really good business. It was event photography, and we had the local universities and schools as our clients. So
okay,
it had a lot of
nice,
potential to scale, but we didn't have mentorship and didn't really have a long term vision of where we want to take it.
right,
So when we all graduated around 2008, we decided to get jobs.
yeah,
That was a whole lesson on its own. So then I worked for corporate for a few years, and then got let go to the last role that I had, and I had to figure out what I want to do. At that point, I was losing my home, losing my car, not able to pay my bills. My credit went from like 750 to less than 400. So things got
wow,
really, really bad. And
yeah,
I found myself where I have to do something. I can spend all day trying to find a job and do a bunch of interviews, or I can take things in my own hands and better myself. So I
Yeah.
decided to start a consulting firm in my apartment before I got evicted. Got a couple clients to pay my bills, and I was sharing what I was doing with my mom, and she's like, "You're too bright to just be trying to make it. You need to go get another degree." And I'm like, "You know what? Sure, mom." So I went and enrolled into an MBA program, and I was still running that business while I was doing the MBA. That helped me pay my bills throughout the 2 years for my MBA. And then after I graduate, I didn't want to start or run the business. I'm like, oh, let me go get another job. Uh, I went through that process again and got laid off literally
No ways.
after I helped the company. Yeah, I helped the company, made like 300 grand. I
Yeah.
gave them a blueprint that I created in terms of marketing that they can do. And
Yeah.
then a few weeks later, they didn't need me anymore. I got the boot. So I made
Just
a vow to myself that I will never let someone else control my future.
yeah.
So that's when I started a digital marketing consulting company where we specialize on helping people use social media, specifically LinkedIn, to
Yeah.
drive business and grow their business. Build that up over 10 years and then was able to be in a position to exit.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. I think what you highlighted there is a realization that I got to very quickly when I got to the US about
Mm,
12 years ago now. And I had noticed that there's no security in corporate jobs. Like
yeah.
if you're delusional, you might think there is, but if you're not the founder or the owner, like the message is clear here in the US. When we need to make the profit of the company look better, like especially if you're working
Mm,
for public companies, the easiest thing is to cut heads.
yeah. Fast.
And that is fast without remorse here in the US. I noticed that from early on, whereas in the rest of the world, it's not that common. When they do mass
Mm,
layoffs, it's like a big deal. It's like,
yeah, it's a big issue. Yeah. Yeah, no, I
very,
mean
very cool, very
that's
interesting.
the world that we in. But it
Mm-hmm.
also helps you realize that, you're not supposed to depend on someone else, right? You're supposed to
Yeah.
figure out how you can handle things on your own. You may not be in a position to do that. That depends on where you are in life,
Yeah.
but it being able to structure different assets to kind of provide for you and your family outside of your 9 to 5 become crucial, especially nowadays
Yeah.
that we lived in. Maybe it's real estate, maybe it's business acquisition, maybe it's something
Yeah.
else. Whatever that is, now is the best time to structure it so that when things happen, you're not like scrambling and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to summarize, you're saying, think about that as a real situation. You may lose your job.
Yeah,
What other sureties or safety nets or assets do you have
yeah,
that you can fall back onto, right? We don't think about that when we're coming out of college into university,
no,
out of university into the workplace. We're just like, yeah, I'm gonna build my career, but you're expendable at the end of the day. And for
mm,
some we realize that earlier than others.
yeah,
And yeah, so it's very interesting to hear you mention that in your journey. And I think, how has that shaped you as a person now
mm.
going forward? Like, how's that
That's
experience?
honestly, it has shaped me to have thicker skin,
Mm-hmm.
right? It help me build character, help me be more resilient, help me be more persistent. Because if I didn't go to these experiences, I might still be in corporate and maybe living in La La Land. But become more realistic on what the world is. Sometimes you need life need to punch you in the face for you to realize where does opportunity lies and what you should be doing with your life.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of reminds me of, sometimes if you're blissfully unaware, and not in the driver's seat of your life,
Hmm,
a something out of left field can come and rock your world and maybe take you to the bottom, and
100%.
and and if you're not planning and thoughtful and intentional about your life, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's what what people should be.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope my listeners are striving to be, and learning from people like you that have taken this twice devastating situation of being laid off and turning it into this positive. I wanted to move on to, I was checking your
Yeah.
resume out on LinkedIn, and it said you run a remote staffing business. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. So after exiting my last company, took some time off, did some
Yeah.
investments, and then a friend of mine reached out and said, "Hey, I'm starting a company. I know in your last business you had a small team of remote team members from different part of the world. Can you help me set something like that?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Because of my relationships, I made a few calls and emails, and literally in less than 3 days, he had somebody working for him.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
like, "Wow, you should turn that into your next business." And I'm like, "You know what? I've been thinking about
The
another
next
business
thing.
that I want to do. Yeah, so this might work." So I reached out to my team member, and she was with me in my last business, and I was like, "Listen, here's what I want to do, and I want you to be part of the ride. Is this something you're interested in?" And she said yes. She was ready to rock and roll. She believed in me, and I believed in her. Right? She brought a skill set and the network in those countries that I didn't have. So we started building together. She connected me to one of her friends, who's also has experience, bringing people together, and that person become our recruiter. So now we build an
Mm,
internal core team, and then we have over 200 plus professionals between the Philippines, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, Dominican Republic, and Mexico that we're
wow.
placing with different clients, helping those
And what
businesses
are
grow.
what are the services that you guys provide?
I love that question because you find that a lot of people with remote staffing company, they could either do just admin work or cold call work. The way I look at it is how I look at business holistically, right? In every business, you have sales, operation, finance, marketing, recruiting, right? So you have all this different division and department. It could be one person with all these hats, but you have all those different part of the business. So what we've been able to do is put a team of professional together that can service this different part of the business. Like we have people that do bookkeeping and taxes. We have people that do funnels, marketing, social media, copywriting, setup automations. We have people that write business grants, right? So we have people with specific skill set that can serve those specific division of an organization. So when we work with a client and they're like, "Hey, I need help with sales and marketing," we can go through our database and identify, "Oh, we have these three candidates that would be a great fit for you. They have the background that you're looking for. Let's interview them and let's pair them with you to see if it makes sense."
Yeah, so you're looking at not just, pigeonholing into certain
Yeah,
aspects of a business. You're trying to,
yeah,
expand and help scale. In other words, right,
exactly.
when the time that when you scale is when you bring on other people to do the tasks that you don't want to do, right?
Yeah,
So you typically start off as this entrepreneur that's wearing all of the hats, and
yeah,
then there's different levels of iteration. As you gain success, you're adding, people
a
to
hundred
help you
percent.
grow that. So wonderful. I think that makes a lot of sense,
Thank
holistically from
you.
a whole business standpoint. Uh, what has been the key factors to you scaling? Because it sounds like 200. Last time I read it was, it looked like you had 150, so you've added
Yeah,
another
yeah, yeah,
50.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So
Well, thank you. I think what it has been more of the needs in the marketplace because there are a lot of companies that does similar services, but at the
yeah.
same time we each have our own value chain, right? So one piece of our value chain that's been helping us with that growth is the caliber of candidates that we have on board, right? So I'll give you an example. One of our clients who runs a HR consulting firm have one of our team members that handles all their website and automation. That team member is well versed in coding, right? He's a developer, but he's also a marketer. So he
Mm,
knows how to set up automations and systems on different platforms to make a business not only be efficient, but able to fully market. So is identifying the right talent, I think really helped us on the internal side, and then having a core internal team, right? Because it's not just me running around. I have a business manager, I have recruiters, I have marketing, I have sales. So I have that core internal team that help us build that foundation. When we have a client, like we had a recent client with 5 companies, and they're going to need about 200 VAs over the next 12 months, we're able to fulfill that because we've have a foundation where they can reach out and say, hey, I need 100 people by this date, because we're looking to really scale at a higher level. So I think it's the internal team helped us a lot, and then the caliber of clients we're going after. That's what kind of helped us get to where we are. And I see scales at different stage, right? Because the business only been about a year old now, so we're just getting started to where I can envision it, because it's two-part. It's not just helping the businesses, but also the impact that I'm able to have by providing opportunities to people that's not even in our country, right? To
Yeah.
work with American companies. Wish I had that opportunity when I was younger, or my family had it when we were in Haiti, but we didn't. So
Yeah.
being able to provide that to others, we're able to help a lot of families, take care of themselves and be sustainable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has come from post COVID. We saw how the world can function
Yeah,
remotely and how interconnected it can be. So yeah, kudos to you for taking that to the
thank
next
you.
level, which is awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I've got lucky because I hired my last company, right? One thing that helped us even hit our first 100K was me hiring somebody, an assistant. After
Yeah,
spending 2 years of fighting it, like
yeah,
a lot of solopreneur, they're fighting. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to hire. I don't trust the person. I don't think they're going to do it the way I'm going to do. So I got, after 2 years of fighting it, I'm like, you know what? Friends came to me and said, you should really hire someone because it's impacting the way you're doing business. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay. So I finally let that go and hire somebody. And that helped changes everything.
yeah. That's such an important mindset, and one that most people, that if you haven't managed in your corporate career or anything like that, it's the art of delegation, right? It's so
Yeah.
hard to do, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur. You're focused on executing all of the everything every
Yeah.
day, and it's hard to even comprehend giving up that control. And it's hard. It's hard. I mean, we've all been there. It's definitely is a challenge.
Yeah.
But once you do, and you have the right person,
Yeah.
because
The
I've
right
also
candidates.
outsourced to the wrong,
Yeah. I got
and
stories on
this
those too.
and it makes a huge difference. It frees you up to focus on the key things that
Yeah.
generates
On what
income, that
matters.
yeah, and delivers that value.
Yeah. That
Awesome.
service level, the experience that you should be doing for your clients
Yeah.
helps you with sales internally.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, if you have a small business, let's say you're in real estate or whatever, that's something I would highly recommend that you do, because if you want to go further, you can't do it alone.
Yeah. 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 No, that makes a lot of sense. And for the listeners out there that are small business owners that are on the fence, what advice would you give to them?
Well, you really got to think about how much money it's costing you by not doing it. You see what I mean? Like, you gotta think about, I'm running this business, I'm a solopreneur, I'm doing everything. I gotta do this website, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta sales clients, I gotta do customer support. How much of your time, right? How much do you value your time?
Yeah.
Do you have a number that or is your time worth 250 bucks an hour, 500 bucks an hour? What does that look like? And that task that you're doing that you have no clue how to do it because you spent hours watching YouTube videos trying to figure it out. Would that time be better spent on someone who actually know what they're doing, and then you can
Yeah.
spend time working, on the business by talking to clients and potential clients and bringing in sales.
Yeah.
So that opportunity of, is it worth losing that much money and not even realizing it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it goes back to, you've got to invest in yourself and invest in the
Yeah,
business, right? So
a hundred
thinking
percent.
about that, when you're making those decisions, like, is it worth my time to be doing a $12 an hour task instead of
Exactly.
a $5,000 an hour task, which is when you're the face of the business,
Yeah.
that's where you should be spending your time, is on
Yeah.
building out that
You
the
know.
income side of things. Because I think a lot of us fall into that trap of, I can do it myself and I can go do it. Like, I love YouTube, don't get me wrong. That's my guilty pleasure. I love watching any how to anything.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. People sharing knowledge is kind of the world that we live in today. But I'm not the expert in web design and
Hmm.
marketing, and I couldn't care less, right? But can I do it? Maybe if I spend thousands of hours, but someone
Exactly.
else
Trying to
already
figure it
has that
out.
experience.
Exactly. Why not buy
Amazing.
that time?
And we all have the same 24 hours in the day, so there's an
How we
opportunity
use
cost
it?
for those things, right? So
Yeah.
multiply your time.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like that
And
term. Multiply your time.
so that's the staffing business. You also have a business acquisition platform, is
Yes.
that
I'm part of a so it's a couple things happening. Part of a After I sold, I met a few people in the business acquisition space where I was able to work with them. Part of a small advisory group where we were acquiring businesses. We did a recent acquisition. I said recent, right after I exited. And then after that, we're doing a roll up right now. So we have some things going on that I can't share too much publicly yet.
okay?
So that's good, but we also have an advisory side where we're working with sellers who are looking to exit their business. We're working with buyers who are looking to acquire. We're working with operators. So I become more of a connector, right? Because I've developed, with my digital marketing skills, I've developed a set of skills where I can find off market sellers who are motivated and ready to exit. That's, they're doing between a million to 50 million in their business. I can find them very easily, and not just finding them, but them letting me know why they're exiting and give me all that information. So I'm able to get that data by using my skill set in digital marketing. And then I'm able to connect them to the right buyers that can help, that either want to acquire the deal themselves, or I have a group of buyer who want to analyze and see if it's the right deal for them. So that turns into something where now I'm able to connect the right people to exit and make an acquisition, while my team and I were doing our own acquisition in the back end for stuff that we like.
Yeah, no, I love that. One of the things that and maybe you can touch on this, is when entrepreneurs start businesses, and when I came to the US, I noticed that America from outside looks like this big Facebook, Google, all this like massive companies. But when you get here and you actually see Main Street, and you see the hustlers, the
Hmm.
go-getters, the people that started up that bakery, started up that, the car
Yeah,
wash, started up the things that you need for your everyday life, started by mom and pop, by people
yeah,
like you and I.
yeah.
One thing that I notice is that there's not always that continuation, succession planning, and those
Hmm.
businesses, unfortunately, a lot of them end up just, the owner walks out that last day, closes there, flips the
Yeah.
close
I
sign, and
mean,
never returns again. What's your
this
view on that?
create a huge opportunity right now. If you are an immigrant coming here to the states, or you here in the states, and you've been thinking about going toward the entrepreneurship route, my personal suggestion is don't start a business, buy
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of baby boomers that has businesses that maybe they don't have that succession plan, or their kids doesn't want the
The
business.
kids don't literally care. They don't want
Yeah,
to be part of it.
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
They don't want it. That's
Yeah, I've
not what
seen
they
it.
want to do with their lives. But that asset can still be run. You're talking seven figure, eight figure asset
Yeah.
that you can acquire. And you don't need to have seven and eight figures to acquire those businesses.
Yeah.
It's, you got to know how to negotiate. You got to know
Yeah.
how to structure deals that make sense for you, for them. and if you have some capital that you can put toward it, or if you can bring a group of people together to put that capital, or if you
Yeah.
can do some form of seller finance. So there's a lot of ways to do it. And I strongly believe now is the best time to take advantage of this opportunity because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That window's now between probably till 2034. So roughly about a 5 to 7 max 10-year window to really go all in and focus on, let me buy this business, let me run this business, or let me
Yeah.
put a portfolio of businesses together.
Yeah. It definitely, I agree 100%. I had the same situation. I acquired a company back in COVID, actually several companies.
Congrats.
Acquired a company that the owner was the daughter of the original founder, and it was a
Yeah.
40-year-old business, and
Mm,
with deep contracts, deep history, just a well connected community business. And, she just said, "Hey, I'm done. I've spent 40 years of my life in this business and
hmm.
from birth, and it was time for her to move on." And I think there's a lot more of those situations out there
Yeah.
where instead of like having a legacy just go die, if you're on the sideline, you don't have to go and be think like a big portfolio or anything like that, but
Exactly.
just the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
these companies are generating really good money, and I think people that are in corporate that are not happy with the way their lives are going, like they could make a
I
real good
mean, think
impact.
about it. When I came to the States, right? You and I are both immigrants.
Yeah.
We see so many opportunities, right? Right now, in our current time, there's a lot of people that's getting laid off from government, right? That was supposed to be secured, and
Yeah.
corporate. And then you have a lot of people that's coming in that is hungry for opportunities. Go after these businesses, talk to these sellers, figure
Yeah.
out how you can bring value to that business so that business don't just disappear,
Bring
right?
value
And
to
start
them.
building that wealth for your family because you
Hmm.
can, you can do this, and
Yeah.
you can put yourself in a position to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, there are people out there that can help you, and you can partner up with a couple people and
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
make things happen.
Exactly. What's your framework for evaluating businesses before you guys acquire? Like
Good
what
question.
yeah.
So, a couple things. We're looking at one business been around for more than 10 years.
Hmm.
Two, we're looking at the top line in EBITDA, right? For people that don't know, that's like, your SDE or profit of the business. We're looking at what kind of asset the business have. We're looking at what vertical that it's in. We're looking at how well is it running because on the outside, some business sounds like they're really good, but when you start going through the financial, you're looking at their balance sheets and you're like, oh, there's a lot of debt here. That
Exactly.
generally, like, how do you want to handle that? Or maybe there doesn't have enough inventory if we're looking to see if we can do some type of asset based lending on the inventory.
Yeah.
Or the founder, their vision for the company compared to our vision is a little bit different. So we're looking really diving down in the business to identify, is this something we want? Does it have some form of recurring revenue? Has it been in business for a while? Can it run without us? Or do we need to bring an operator in to run it? Because I don't personally want to be the operator. I'm already an operator.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are some of the questions that we ask when we're evaluating a business to see if it even makes sense to put an LOI on it. And then how do we want to structure the deal so that it makes sense? What does the founder want? I'll give you a quick story. Last year, there was a business that we're looking to acquire down in Florida. It's a alarm monitoring company. Love the owner. Alarm
Oh,
system,
okay. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
right? The owner, nice guy, love him, amazing. But he had a license that we didn't have, right? He had a master electrician license. So
Mm.
it's finding, okay, does he have, or how can we find somebody else to run it? Because he didn't want to deal with the business anymore, right?
Yeah.
But the opportunities that were in the business were more like it's a recurring revenue, right? He hasn't increased his prices in 40 years. So there's a lot of opportunity there alone, right?
Yeah.
He has a great internal team, but they weren't doing any marketing, right? Which that's a strength I can bring to the table. So when you're looking at a business, it's those things that see, okay, where does it make sense? What can we add value? How does that benefit us? How does that benefit the owner? Are they going to be happy when that transition happens?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you don't want someone that, they worked so hard for all these years for something, and, you didn't take care of it like it's your own. So that's something that we don't want to do. So these are some of the things that we look at.
Awesome. That's amazing. So you have clearly defined buy box and things that
Yes.
you're considering before even evaluating taking the deal further. What are some of the red flags entrepreneurs should watch out for when considering buying a business?
Well, the seller, right? Seller's lies. So looking at the financials is super important, but also looking at the tax returns, because you can fake a financial P&L document, but you can't fake what you report to the IRS.
Yeah, yeah. Good tip.
That's a big red flag right there. Do some digging online, right? We had a situation for another business we were looking to buy. It's a $5 million, company in the construction space in the Midwest. I don't want to give too much information on that
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it everything looks great from the outside. Numbers look amazing. Tax return looks fantastic. We already put an LOI in, going to due diligence, raising capital, and then we find out that they had some legal issues. They weren't delivering on their promises, right? And that we had to do some digging really deep to find that out. So the deal didn't go through. So it's really, you gotta verify, not just ask but verify.
Yeah.
That
Trust.
to me
What
is,
did
yeah,
Reagan say? Trust but verify, right? Yeah, yeah.
right. So that's super important.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great tip. And, in my experience on the real estate side, we take everything the seller says with a grain of salt. I look at their
Yeah.
P&Ls, their tax returns. It doesn't matter to me because when I'm buying an apartment community, I'm going to say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's how he was operating. And how would I operate that community? How would
Exactly.
I, with my team in place, what would my expenses be? And
Yeah.
then you can see how far off they are. And you're like, well, this doesn't make sense. They may be putting things below the line and not above the
Mm.
line, and whether it's capex in nature or not. But yeah, very good tip. And then so now we've gone through the staffing company, the business acquisitions, and then
Yeah.
podcasting and networking. Yeah. Tell us about how has podcasting helped you build connections and opportunities and
Man, I'm glad you asked. So, back in 2019, I connected with these two young men out of New York that started a podcast in their living room with
hmm
just their iPhone. And I was blown away by what they were able to do in a very short period of time, building a community and growing that community. That inspired me to start my own podcast. I spent a weekend learning how to do it, and then I hire some contractors and put it together. And I said, you know what? This could be a good way for me to connect with people that I don't know and I can learn from. So I
yeah,
started targeting people that were in the Inc. 5000 list. I'm like, okay, if they're doing, 50 million plus in the Inc. 5000 list, I want to interview them. So put a list together, just started reaching out. Some of them said no, of course. But some of them said yes. I mix it up with some of my business friends so they can share their knowledge and ideas and advice, and just started doing that. Now, over the past, was it 6 years, we have over 100 plus episodes. We have a community of 30, 40,000 plus entrepreneurs that, around the world, over 25 countries that listen to
amazing.
the pod. We're connected it to our community and create revenue stream around it. So it becomes a way that not only help build authority and expertise, it also a way is my cheat code to learn, right? When I want to learn from others that have done things that I want to do, or that has a perspective or an experience that I want to learn more about that I think can benefit the audience. I'll
Yeah,
definitely bring them on to share that story and share what they did, their journey, mistakes that they made, and
yeah,
then it also create ability for me to network and connecting people together, which is what I enjoy doing. I see myself as a connector.
Yeah.
through everything, through the staffing company, to the business acquisition business, right, to the podcasting, through my community with 37,000, right? So I see myself where I'm able to connect people together, able to help them, reach their goal and make an impact that way as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Definitely taking a page out of your book there, with the podcasting. And I enjoy
Yeah,
learning about different people that I wouldn't necessarily come across in my
yeah.
day to day. I mean, a lot of us, rightfully or wrongfully, I spend a lot of time at my desk, so I'm not I'm not out there at networking events every week or maybe every other
hmm
week type of thing. So this is another way for me
To connect.
to connect with people that are just awesome human beings that are doing great things.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, that's amazing. What has been one of the most surprising or game changing insights that you've learned from a guest?
that's a really good one. And you got me going through my head because I've learned a lot
I
from a
mean,
lot of
six
different
years, that's
guests.
a, yeah, over
Yeah, but
100
I'll tell
episodes.
you one that happened super recently. I interviewed this gentleman who's been in the SBA financing space for about 19 years.
Wow.
And last year alone, he did 70 business acquisition SBA financing deal. And one thing he shared with me that I thought was amazing and also that I thought was super impactful is, and I have it on the pod where someone listened to it where he shared details, the 100% SBA financing,
Hmm.
where he talked about, yeah, I was saying, like,
What?
what, really? So basically, if you have the same NAIC code, for example, I have a staffing company, my NAIC code for the staffing company, and I'm like, hey, I want to buy another staffing company
Yeah.
maybe that's a little bit bigger, right? Not extremely big or about the
Yeah.
same size.
Yeah. Roll up. Or,
You can use SBA financing where they can 100% they could, for 100% finance that business.
hmm.
After you look at the numbers, make sure everything is, makes sense and the experience that you're bringing in, so they can easily bring that inside your portfolio. So to me, that was fascinating because that create a whole new world of
Yeah.
acquisition. That's one thing I plan on doing with my staffing company is to acquire others in the near future. So now, not only I have already had a plan, but now it confirms my plan because I can say, you know what, I'm going to leverage the SBA financing, 100% financing plan to acquire, this organization,
Similar company.
right?
Wow.
Because we have same NAIC code, so we're very similar and be
Yeah.
able to kind of there give the 100% financing of that deal.
That's very interesting because, a lot of the times, in order for us that come from nothing, we have to give up some of our deal to equity partners, to
Yeah,
co-GPs or whatever. With that structure, you could own 100% of that
yeah,
next company through financing, which is quite powerful, I think. And I see the
yeah.
advantage in there. Tell me a little bit about your journey of like acquisitions and bringing in equity. What is your experience been?
Man, we might have to have a whole different podcast on that one. It's, let's put it this way, right? It's a journey where it's helping me learning more about people because sometimes I had people where deal was supposed to be made where we agree on one thing, but
Yeah.
then that agreement changed. So it puts you in a position where deals fall through because of that. So having the right partners to me is essential, and it's not just
Huge.
bringing the people
Huge.
together to do the deal, but actually getting to know the person
Yeah.
beyond the deal. That's one thing I've been learning is how do you get to know me, I get to know you beyond the deal because, on the surface, we're all good people, but are we really?
That's the name of this podcast, Beyond the Deal, people. That's
Right?
yeah, that for a reason. It's not just
Yeah,
about the deal. There's more to life after that deal. There's more
exactly.
to the
Right.
transaction. It's not
You
just that
know,
close
what
and
does, yeah, what does that
yeah.
look like? What does that equity, not just the equity portion, but how do we both got a win-win situation on our hand where we can get the deal done? We're both happy with the percentage that we got. We're both able to work toward to do more. So I think those are very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agreed. Awesome. You've worn many hats, you've
I
got
got one
lots of
on.
things going. Yeah. Entrepreneur, investor, podcast host. What mindset shifts have you been most, or that have you found that is like the most important thing to kind of flip that switch in your journey? Because man, you've like gone from like here to, it's quite
Well,
a
thank
journey.
you.
Yeah.
I still see myself every day is the beginning,
Okay.
right? So I don't see myself that I have arrived or I've done everything.
Yeah.
I'm still crawling. That's the way I look at it. I think there's so much more opportunities, and I'm just excited every day to see, how far can I get from the previous day.
Yeah.
So to me, the mindset shift in all this is looking at everything as it's brand new. Like I'm a baby. That's the way I see it. I'm a baby. I'm just crawling, and all this is brand new. And there's so much more for me to go. And by being around people that has done way more than I have, for example, a gentleman that I interview who built $100 million business and then sold it for 400 million. When I had him on my podcast, just learning from him and realizing where I am, or this conference that I'm attending right now, and meeting so many people that built hundreds of millions of dollars of businesses, and even people that have gotten to the $1 billion mark, seeing the possibilities. So I'm a baby. That's the way I
Yeah.
look at things.
In other words, you have this like humbled growth mindset where you like, I'm not the expert in the room. I'm always going to be learning from the others. And
Exactly.
the better rooms you get into,
Yeah.
the better your experience becomes, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely resonate with that. I think that's so cool. Um, you know, what's one piece of advice that you would give someone that's looking to scale just in their life, when, somebody out there looking to take it to the next level? What would you tell that entrepreneur?
We gotta look at it this way, right? We all have one life to live. There's no makeover around this thing.
Yeah.
That's it. You
So
just have
true.
one.
Yeah.
So when you look at things that way, does anything else matter? If you want to do something, just go and do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because a lot of time we're the one holding ourselves back. We're the one that
Yeah.
has what this gentleman mentioned this past weekend. We have the leashes in our head, those little voices that kind of create that doubt,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you got to always go back and think, hey, dude, I got one life to live. Do I want to live it scared and not really accomplish what I want to do? Or do I want to take the life by the horn and go all in? Because there's no makeover, there's
Yeah.
no do over.
So
That's it.
true. It's so true. And I think one of the misconceptions that we have as humans, or as Americans even, is
Yeah.
that we're gonna live forever. We have this like, we forget about the mortality of life, and we
Yeah.
only,
Yeah.
we're lucky to make it past 75, right? Like,
I,
if you take that, take 75 or 80 or 90 and minus today, that's the time you have left on this experience, on this journey. So I completely agree with that. That's such a interesting way of looking at, it's now or never.
that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing else, like it's, so why waste time?
Yeah.
That one of my mentors said success loves speed, right? And that's with everything.
Yeah.
So why waste time? If you want something, go for it. Take action today. And if you want to scale, there's different level of scale. So you got to really envision what is scaling to you. Is it scaling system? Is it scaling team? Is it scaling revenue? What does that look like for you? Is it scaling your vision? What does that look like? What kind of milestone you've set up for yourself?
Yeah.
And once you kind of create clarity around that, just go for it. Stop wasting your time and thinking about it and asking everybody about it. No one cares.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
done.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like
Nike,
like
right?
Nike says. Awesome. Well, this has been so amazing and enlightening, and
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for all this great nuggets of knowledge that you've been able to share with us here today. What is next on the horizon for Julbert,
Uh,
and what are you excited about?
I'm excited about so much right now. For example, for our staffing company, we recently launched what's called unlimited virtual assistant. So basically, it's like a concierge service where someone just make a call. They need 100 people. We can get them that. So if someone is really looking to scale, we can work with them where they pay us a flat fee annually, and we can help them build out the right team quickly. So I'm
Wow.
super excited about that. Acquisition wise, I have a couple different partners that I'm working on in several different verticals. So I'm excited to see, some of the deals we have on the pipeline when we close them. I personally looking to build a portfolio for myself as well, with
Yeah.
a variety of deals. That I'm super. I can't say much yet, but I'm super
Yeah.
excited about that as well. Podcast, the networking. I'm planning on doing different events throughout the year. My whole thing is how can I bring more people together that want to do big things, and how can we impact the world?
Yeah. Yeah. A platform like yours, I think that's how you have the duty to do that, right?
Yeah,
You've got the audience
yeah,
that can make it happen. Love that.
yeah.
You know, very exciting. I'm very excited for your success and
Thank you.
these big things to come. Tell the listeners where they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely.
How can they reach you?
Well, first, thank you again for having me on the pod. This is amazing. Guys, definitely check up with this guy. He's building something magnific, like you would say in French here. So, yeah, reaching out to me on LinkedIn, J.Abraham is one of the fastest way to get me. Or my podcast, Small Biz Tips on YouTube. You can subscribe there, and then my email is there if you want to reach out. So, YouTube, LinkedIn, and then, could just Google my name, Julbert Abraham. You'll find me on Facebook and other places.
Amazing.
And I'm always looking to connect. I love to eat good food. So if you want to strike a conversation with me, let's talk about food. And I'm plant based. So
Oh, you're a guitarist,
yeah,
huh? Or
yeah.
bassist, I guess. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend with me and my listeners, and wish you all of the success for this year and all of your upcoming endeavors. Have a great
Thank you,
rest of
sir.
your day.
Likewise. Later.
Cheers. Bye bye, everybody.